power of affirmations and what limiting belief systems really can do to destroy our day, destruct our lives. The silent assassins they are. We got to call them the enemies they are. So we're gonna dive in, and I know Ken's got some awesome stuff to share. We'll keep this pretty close to straight up to an hour, maybe a little less. So if you're just joining us, whether you're watching us here on Zoom via the webinar, or you're watching via the stream to Facebook or YouTube, we're glad you're here. My name is Nate May. I serve as the MC for the Growth Stack Drive webinar series and mentoring group. And we're just excited to roll today. Happy Saturday to you. I know Ken's going to say it in a minute. He's going to say go blue. I mean, the man's serious about, this man's serious about what he does is when he books a webinar on the time and the day his team is playing their biggest rival in, one of their biggest rivals, in-state rival, Michigan State. The biggest rival for University of Michigan is Ohio State. If you know football, you know that. But, so Ken, he might even be in a little bit of a hurry today. He's like, man, I got to, just kidding. We're so excited you're here, guys. Welcome to the Growth Stack Drive webinar. It's Saturday at 12 Eastern. If you're watching this on the replay, we're excited you tuned in. If you're watching this live, we're excited you're here as well. Ken, you about ready to roll, brother?
Yes, sir. What's up, guys? Hey, want to welcome you guys. I am muted.
Let's unmute you, brother.
Good morning, everybody. Let's see what we can do right here. Nate, I can't see your. Are you on the? Do you have your video on over there?
Oh, he needs visual support. He needs visual support.
Hey guys, listen. Welcome to our Growth Stack Drive webinar today on the power of affirmations. We're going to go over some things. Some of you guys that are already part of our Growth Stack Drive family, some of these things may be a little repetitious for you. We're wrapping up our 14-day Growth Stack Drive affirmation challenge, and so what I want to do is I want to spend a little bit more time today walking through affirmations, exactly what they are, what's the power of affirmations, why do we do affirmations, and yes, I will give a big shout out to Go Blue. We're playing little brother Sparty right now, and I actually came last year. I brought my daughter down to Michigan over to Ann Arbor, and I got to watch Michigan beat the Brakes. I think it was 41-10, Mr. Nate May last year. So today I want to talk about the power of affirmations. We've had several dozen people walking through a 14-day affirmation challenge. And so what we've done and what is an affirmation, we'll get to here in just a little bit. We've been walking through a 14-day affirmation challenge. And what an affirmation is it is something that we say about ourselves, something that we desire to be true, or something that we know to be true in our own heart. And so how an affirmation works is this. An affirmation begins, number one, in our thought life. It's how we think about ourselves, because the reality of it is a lot of us have an improper perspective or thought about who we are or what we're capable of doing. And those affirmations start with that thought. The next thing it does is, as we think we are, then we begin to speak about who we are. So we're going to walk through some affirmations today. We're going to cover 6 limiting belief systems. We're going to hit one of those affirmations. And then what I'd love for you guys to do, if you're online on Facebook, if you're in our webinar room today watching, I'd love for you in the chat room right there, type down your name. Bobby Grassi needs a link. He just texted me, Nate. If you'll text down there, we'd love to know who you are, where you're from, and what you've got going on. And if you've been a part of this 14-day affirmation challenge, we'd love to hear, man. We'd love for you to jot a little story in there about exactly what this has looked like for you over the past 14 days. So in the 14-day affirmation challenge, we've asked people to do a couple things. Number one, we've asked you to write down affirmations. Those of you guys in the GSD code, that's our three courses that we have online. In the first Grow course, we deal with these mindset limited belief systems we're going to talk about this morning. We gave you about 5 to 7 affirmations, and then we asked you to write down some of your own. And some of you guys this week have had phenomenal affirmations. So 2 parts of the affirmation challenge. We speak our affirmations every morning. The second thing we do is record a video with ourselves saying 1 or 2 of those affirmations, posting those on our GSD private Facebook page, and then somewhere on your social media so people in your sphere of influence can see you, what you're doing in the power of affirmation. So let's start with why affirmations. So affirmations are because of our mindset. We're going to talk about mindset today. And a mindset is an established set of attitudes held by someone. It is a settled way of thinking. And I love that word settled, because literally it means like We are positioned there. That word settled means to be like, my feet aren't moving, my mind's not moving, I'm not moving in a different direction, but I'm settled, I am still, I have stopped at that moment. And in that way of thinking, it's a settled way of thinking or feeling about someone or something. That's our mindset. Like that is where we are today. And so a limited belief system is what we believe is possible for us and what you'll allow in your life. And I love this. There's a longer definition for limited belief system, but probably the most powerful one for limited belief system, when you say, Nate, is that it robs us of the ability to see the potential in our future. It robs us of the potential to see, it robs us of the belief or of the potential of our future. And that's very difficult. It's amazing everywhere that Nate and I go. Our GSD community, as we travel, like I said, we're in Michigan right now working with a dental group of 38 dental practices on a coaching proposal. And even here, you'll get around people, no matter where you go, you can tell when you get around people, if they just don't have that zip or that desire or that passion for life. A lot of times it's because that limited belief system, or there is one of, we're going to talk about 6 today. There's one of those limited belief systems that we struggle with. And what it does is it literally strangles the opportunity for us, or for us to see the potential or the opportunities in our very own future. So that's what a limited belief system is. I think Nick Copsar raised his hand right there. If you guys have got some questions, there's a Q&A option here as well. Nate will keep an eye out on that. And we're going to roll right through these 6 limited belief systems. It's a lot of you guys have heard these before. So we talk about 6. We talk about fear. And one of the things we talk about in fear is this, is that as human beings, we're born with only 2 fears. We're born with the fear of falling, and we're born with the fear of loud noises. Those are the only 2 things that we're born with. Every other limited belief system, every other fear in our life is learned fears. So if we can learn those fears, we can unlearn them. That's the power of the affirmation. And that's really what we've been working on the last 14 days. The second thing is scarcity. And a scarcity mindset or a scarcity limited belief system is something that tells us that there's not enough, that there's just not enough. And I tell people all the time, two ways that you can tell if somebody struggles with a scarcity mindset. When they begin to get a little more successful and make a little bit more money, they do 2 things. Either they spend it all, they literally go out and spend because they've never had some of those material things before, or the second thing they do is they save it all. You either spend it all or you save it all. There's not really a mindset to where, or a mindset that says, how can I invest in what's going on? How can I invest in my future? Because we have a scarcity mindset, because we just don't believe that what we have or the success that we're experiencing can actually last for a while. The third one is shame. Nate, I'm gonna let you hit shame. Talk about shame for just a minute.
Well, shame is, I guess,
me and Ken are in the same room, so if not, I give feedback. Shame is actually one of I call it the silent assassin of all the limiting belief systems, because what it tells you, it attacks, it's a soul terror. It attacks the very core of who you are. Because guilt says this. Guilt says, hey, I did something wrong. Shame says internally that I am something wrong. And shame is something, like all limiting beliefs, is something that's inherited. It's something we inherited from our childhood, past experiences, past pain, that makes us really, truly believe that we're not enough, that we are not capable of accomplishing great things. It tears at the fabric, and it's very dangerous in that fashion. So it's something that takes hard work too. And I always say this, in these limiting belief systems, especially shame, if you're really wanting to tackle them and you're really wanting to get after them, they're painful. It's a painful journey to really get after these. It's incremental. We always say there's incremental, not monumental. It's not something you could do instantly. It's something you have to really battle over a period of time. And a lot of these things, you can't just eliminate them. You can remove them and replace them. But if you don't continually reshape your thinking on these things, especially shame, it'll rear its ugly head back up and come after you once again. And I tell my kids this all the time, and I wear a necklace about it. And you guys that have heard me before, I talk about being a lion. And when it comes to limiting belief systems, you have to be a lion. Lions, man, they eat. Sheep get eaten. And these things here, man, if you're not a lion, if you don't have a fierceness, a tenacity about you, what we call BA in our world too, is if you don't attack these with a badass mentality, they're going to come back and they're going to really get after you. So That's shame, Ken, man. The number one definition there, guys, is guilt says this: I did something wrong. Shame says you're inherently something wrong, and it is not true. You inherently are a good person.
Yes.
You inherently built for great things. You were created for greatness. You're more than a conqueror. Those are things that you have to affirm in yourself all the time to battle not only just shame, but these limiting belief systems.
Yeah. So the next two, number 4 and 5 that we deal with in the GSD code is insecurity and comparison. Those things really go hand in hand. So when we talk about insecurity is something that says that I'm not good enough or I'm not qualified enough to do something that I want to do. And regardless of what that is, I know we've got a lot of entrepreneurs, we've got a lot of business owners, we've got a lot of parents on the call, we've got a lot of people who literally are every single day, you're striving for more. There's that little voice inside of you that just says, you know what, you're just not good enough, or you're not qualified enough, or you're not intelligent enough, or you're not smart enough, or you're not whatever enough. And really, insecurity is really rooted a lot into comparison. Those two, let's call them twin limiting belief systems, because they really are hand in hand. And for those of you guys that know a little bit about what we've got going on, Nate and I are actually in Dr. Bobby Grassi's office right now in Flint, Michigan. We met with a CEO and a COO of a dental group of about 30, potentially 38 practices over here in the next month, and literally pitched them a multiple 6-figure coaching deal about how we can come in and help with their culture, how we can come in and help develop a farm system. Well, this is the largest deal by far we've worked on, Nate. And so let me tell you, every time you go to the next level in your business, in any area of your life, you're always going to battle new types of or new levels of insecurity. So literally, what a phenomenal time for this 14-day affirmation challenge to come along, because we literally sat at a table with a CEO and a COO yesterday for 3 hours of a $75 million a year corporation looking to grow to over $100 to $120 million a year in volume over the next 24 months. And so when that's the first conversation, the first time you sat at a table of that caliber, or a table of that magnitude, you're always going to battle some type of new insecurity. And so one of the things on the limited belief system of insecurity is, and we'll get into affirmations in just a little bit, one of the things that makes insecurity like really deadly is comparison. And so comparison happens when we do this. We usually compare ourselves either two ways. And that both of these give us a false sense of worth or value. Number one, we're comparing ourselves against people who are ahead of us on the road or on the journey of what we're trying to do. And when we look at people like that, what happens is we're thinking to ourselves, don't we, Nate? We think, man, there's no way I can do what a Grant Cardone does, or what a Brad Lee does, or what a Tim Story does, or a Coach Michael Burt does. Or for those of you guys that may be, in athletics, we're actually watching Game Day. Our good friend David Pollack on ESPN Game Day. Nate and I were watching Davey making fun of his hair this morning on TV, because my boy gets up out of bed and just does some stuff with his hair. But we get into this trap of comparing. When we compare ourselves with people who are further down the road, what happens is it really bogs us down, and we can fall into such a deep level of insecurity, like I'm never going to be good enough. I'm never going to measure up. And then the opposite way on that comparison, what happens is we look at people that are behind us in the journey, people that haven't accomplished what we've accomplished. And it gives us a false sense of, oh, I'm okay. I've got this all together. When the reality of it is, on comparison, the only person we compare ourselves to is ourselves. It literally is. I compare myself to that man I brush my teeth with in the mirror every single day. That's the only person that I need to compare. And that last limited belief system is success. And for a lot of us that grew up, some of the way that a lot of us grew up, I never saw success. Broken home, parents divorced when I was 8. Mom moved myself and my younger sisters to Georgia when I was 8 years old, second grade. From the time I was in 6th grade to the time I was a senior in high school, I moved back and forth from Michigan to Georgia 6 different times. Went to 12 schools in 12 years. I never really had a model of what success looked like in my life. I never really saw like successful people. I just wasn't around success. And so when you get an opportunity to start your entrepreneurial journey, or growing your business, or whatever it is you're doing, and you're going after success, a lot of times it's hard to break free of that limited belief system of success, because you've never seen it. And so we're going to talk through some affirmations for every one of these limited belief systems today. And as we just wrapped up this 14-day affirmation challenge, I just want to encourage you guys. Listen, our Grow Stack Drive Facebook page, we made that public. That's a private Facebook page for the people in our paid coaching network. Listen, I want to encourage you guys, keep those affirmations rolling. Because affirmations we're going to talk about how do we overcome limited belief systems? 3 ways. Number 1, we identify them. We've talked about 6 of those limited belief systems. Here's what I'd love for you to do. I'd love for you to go on the Facebook chat, the YouTube chat, if wherever you're watching this live, or if you're here actually in the webinar room on Zoom, I'd love for you to go, hey, Ken, this is the number 1 limiting belief system I struggle with. Just type it in there. If it's fear, if it's insecurity, if it's comparison, whatever the one is that you struggle with the most, I'd love for you to be able to write that down. Just type in the chat. Hey, here's the number 1. Every single one of us struggle with some type of limiting belief system. So number 1, we got to identify it. Number 2, we got to remove it. And there's ways that we remove it, and the affirmations are the biggest part. And then that also works in how we replace that as well. Solana, what's up, girl? I see you on Facebook Live over here commenting today. So how do we do that? We identify, we remove, and replace. And one way that we replace those limited belief systems is through affirmations. And those of you guys that have been a part of this 14-day affirmation challenge, you're beginning to understand the power of what we speak. And again, affirmations do this. Affirmations start in what we think and believe about ourselves. Listen, and I don't even care if it's true. One of the things we talked about, Nate, your affirmation the other day was, I am who I am says I am. Break that down a little bit and what that affirmation looked like to you.
Well, I'm a Christian, a person of faith. And so one of the things that I put my energy into when I try to affirm myself in the morning, I try when I do, is I am who I am says I am. So, if you read scriptures, a lot of time God is referred to the great I am. And when you really focus your energy, not what you think about God, but you focus your energy on what he thinks about you, what you'll find, there's a lot of power in that, because we get so caught up in a day-to-day basis. We worry about other people think, we worry about this, and that's where fear and comparison and insecurity all come from, is we start to self-absorb ourselves in with people that think less of us or don't think enough of us. But in reality, the great I am, I am who I am says I am, which is, he says I'm more than a conqueror, that I was created for great things, that I can do all things in my life that come in front of me. And that my best is yet to come, that my days on this earth may be numbered, but my best days are ahead. They're not behind me. These are all things that, the great I am says I am. So it's it's like a tongue twister, right? I am who I am says I am. But so that's a way to break it down a little bit.
Hey, quick shout out real quick. Solana Whitehead, Matt Buchanan, Tasso, Michelle Myers. We got about a dozen people that are on with us on Facebook, and another a dozen or 2 that are on with us on YouTube as well. So one way that we replace those limiting belief systems like fear, scarcity, insecurity, comparison, shame, or success is through affirmations. It literally is speaking out those things that we begin to believe, that we want to believe about ourselves. So affirmation starts in how we think about ourselves. So if, like Nate just said his affirmation from the other day, you know what? I'm not who people think I am who God thinks that I am, or who God says that I am. So we begin to think about, it starts in our thought life. This is who I am, from what we think to what we say. We begin to say, hey, this is who I am. So one of the affirmations for people that struggle, when we struggle with comparison, one of those affirmations is, listen, I am a collaborator, not a competitor. I'm not going to compete against other people, but I'm going to be a collaborator. I want to help people be a better version of who they are. Aaron Dunn, what's up, buddy? I see you on Facebook. So here's what I would say to you guys last night. And this is probably the power. And Nate, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. The power of confirmation. I mean, the power of collaboration. We were sitting in a restaurant last night. Nate and I were, and we haven't dropped this with anybody. Nobody knows this. We were sitting in a restaurant last night, grabbing some pizza and just kind of hanging out, kind of celebrating the day, the big proposal we had pitched yesterday to the CEO and COO of that big dental group. And just how awesome that meeting went, and the potential business and relationship, and the awesome opportunity that we have to be able to help them grow. We were sitting there last night, and I got a text message from my good friend Carlos Reyes. And Carlos said, hey, dude, I got some good news for you. And so I called him. As a matter of fact, I said, what's that, bro? He called me on the phone, and we're sitting there, and he's like, dude, if you got room for me in Nashville next week at your Grow Stack Drive boot camp, I said, bro, I always got room for you. So he hadn't met Nate. So I actually said, hang on just a minute. I want to meet my guy, Nate. So I handed Nate the phone. They talked for about 5 minutes, and Carlos got back on the phone. He goes, dude, listen, he said, dude, I love the way that you collaborate and you're not afraid to bring other personalities or other people and give them time on your platform. And listen, the one way you battle that limited belief system of comparison is you do exactly what I did last night. I think this is verbatim what I told Carlos, wasn't it, Nate? He said, dude, if you got room for, he said, can you give me 30 minutes on your platform next week during your GSD bootcamp? I said, bro, you got all the time you want. You let me know when you can be here. I said, I'd love to get you connected with Anthony Trucks. He's not met Anthony. He's met Coach Michael Burt because they spoke together at a big conference before. Carlos is coming off of speaking at Thrive last week with Dan Fleischman. It's one of the top entrepreneurial conferences in the world. It is one of the top entrepreneurial conferences in the world. He spoke there last week and called me on the phone. Said, dude, I can make it. Can you give me a spot? I said, bro, you got it. And guys, listen, that's the power. That's the power of collaboration. It's literally this week, even before we came here to pitch this it's just a multiple 6-figure deal that we pitched this week. I called Coach on the phone, and I had Coach Bird on the phone for about 20 or 30 minutes, and he just closed out his first $1 million coaching client. And I called him on the phone. Not only did he walk me through some key points, but he also shared the contract and some of the things that they've used and developed over a period of years to be able to get where they were. He just shared that with me. Guys, listen, there is power in collaboration. There is power to not only fight the limiting belief system of comparison. Listen, if you struggle with comparison today, we're going to talk about affirmation, but here's what I want to encourage you to do. I want to encourage you to go find someone that's doing what you're doing and promote them. Go find someone that's doing what you're doing and promote them. If you look through my Instagram story, and I've had dozens and dozens of people say this to me. If you go through and look at my Instagram story, you'll see posts from Anthony Trucks. You'll see posts from Coach Burt. You'll see posts from Tim Story. You'll see posts from Greg Reed. You'll see posts from Sharon Lecter. You'll see posts from Uncle G, from Grant Cardone. You'll see posts from Richie Dolan. Because I understand, if there's one thing I have down, and I do not struggle with at all, it is that limiting belief system of comparison. Because I know this, and this is a Zig Ziglar quote. If I help enough people get what they want, eventually I'll get what I want. And there's that old proverb that a rising tide raises all boats. Our good friend Richie Dolan says that a lot. But guys, listen, if you struggle with the limited belief system of comparison, here's what I want to encourage you to do. Go find someone that does what you do and promote them. And you're like, yeah, that is crazy. How can I do that? Man, listen, when you do that, it reveals to people where your heart is. It literally reveals to people that, man, listen, I'm not in this just for me, but I literally am in this for the community and to be able to collaborate. Because the reality of it is this week, this is our first live event, Nate, our first live event. We've got 3, world changer guys that are on large platforms who have said, Ken, we want to partner with you, and we want to come and be a part of what you're doing. Carlos, Coach Burt are actually working on several events going into 2021 together. And it's just an awesome opportunity to be able to collaborate with people that are absolutely crushing it, that have different audiences. And I don't have a problem bringing these guys in to my personal clients, people that are Growth Stack Drive guys. A ton of you guys are connected now with Coach Michael Burt because we've introduced you guys to him, to Carlos Reyes because we've introduced, to Anthony Trucks because we've introduced. So if you struggle with it, I know I'm hitting on this comparison affirmation a lot because there's a lot of people that struggle with that limited belief system of comparison. Aaron Dunn, good to see you this morning. Osbert, good to see you. Todd Bowling, what's up, buddy? I can't wait to see you next week. It's going to be an amazing time at boot camp, bro. It's going to be an absolutely phenomenal time. This is a small group. It's probably going to be about 30 to 35 people there. It is going to be a small group. It is going to be an unbelievably powerful weekend. And it got made more powerful last night. Why? Carlos Reyes picks up the phone and calls me and goes, dude, I want to come next week. Can you stick me on your stage? You better freaking believe I can. So one of the ways we replace that through affirmations. Let's talk through affirmations and what an affirmation is. An affirmation is a statement. It is a proposition that is declared to be true. So we call them I am statements. Some people will call them affirmations. One of the things we did this week, man, is we were preparing to fly down to Michigan to present this proposal, which was, a very large proposal and a good bit larger than anything that we had ever done in the past was, you know what, I am more than enough. And I said this on my live the other day. I am capable of being able to help. Our team is capable of being able to help this organization grow from $75 million a year to $100 million a year. I am capable to be able to do that. An affirmation is a statement or proposition that is declared to be true. We don't speak that, hey, I'm trying to be, I want to be. You know what? I am capable. I am more than enough. And here's what I am says. When you start thinking things like that, and this is the power of the affirmation. This is what I want you to grab hold of today. When you start thinking things like that, when you start writing those things down in your planner, when you start writing those things down in your journal, when you're writing those things down, let me tell you what happens. You begin to speak those things out. So how I think dictates and determines how I speak. How I speak then in turn dictates my actions. It literally determines how I live out, how I flesh out every single day. My actions determine my future, my destiny, and my legacy. So that's the power. Those are the 4 steps of what an affirmation is. It starts in our mind. As we think, is what we speak. And then when you begin to say to yourself, hey, I am more than enough to help this company go from 75 million to over $100 million. I'm more than enough to help this company go from 38 locations to over 50 locations. I am more than enough. Our team is more than enough to be able to help them. My team is more than enough. We had another proposal yesterday with another client in Arizona. It's a $50,000 one-on-one personal coaching contract for 1 year. I am more than enough to be able to help them take this business to the next level. So here's what happens. When I begin to speak these things out, what happens is I'm thinking these thoughts, I'm processing these thoughts, I'm beginning to say these affirmations, regardless of which limiting belief system it is. We're going to run through one affirmation for each of those limiting belief systems. When I begin to speak those things out, it dictates how I act. Okay, so now I'm like, okay, we're going to get in the MSO and DSO world in groups of 38 medical practice locations trying to go over 50 so that they can raise their valuation, so that in the hopes one day they can be able to sell this whole package. And so what happens is when you begin to speak these things, it begins to change how you act, because now you are, okay, what do I need to do to equip myself to be everything that I need to do to be able to meet that need for that individual or that affirmation that I'm speaking out. So changes my actions. How I think determines how I speak. How I speak determines how I act. How I act determines my future, my destiny, and my legacy. So that's an affirmation. So here's affirmations. I'd love for you to write these things down. You can screenshot these. You can do whatever you want to do. If you go to the Growth Stack Drive private Facebook page, if you don't have access, you can ask for access. We'll give you access for the next couple of weeks. Yes, Solana, collaborate together is so much better. Guys, and this is the one thing I love about our Growth Stack Drive community, is it is a community of people who literally have that desire and believe in that Zig Ziglar quote. If I help enough people get what they want, eventually I'm going to get what I want. So here's an affirmation. Here's an affirmation for fear. I will fail and embrace failure as long as I have learned something. Nate, talk about fear real quick and talk about the power of this affirmation and overcoming that limited belief system of fear.
Well, fear isn't the, it's not the absence of courage. It's actually moving in the midst of, let me put it this way. Bravery is moving in the midst of fear, even when you're scared. So, it's the best way to put it is we have this external reality we're trying to face. We have something that we're looking at that would cause us to fear something. That's an external interaction we're having with our outside world. But really what matters when it comes to these limiting belief systems, and not only does it apply to fear, there's an internal conversation that we're always having. And that internal conversation is the one we're having with ourselves about the way we view the external world and how it's impacting our lives. And that's why you guys will hear me talk about who, not what. What's going on around you is not as powerful as what's going on inside of you. And that means because who you are becoming is based on the internal dialogue you have with yourself. So if you're not affirming the fact that you can fail and embrace failure, you don't have to be fear it, because you're willing to embrace it, because along the way, you can become better because of what you learned from it. That's an internal dialogue. No one can help you with that. Now, I'm not like, we can help you, coach you through it, but that internal dialogue takes discipline. That internal conversation is a brave conversation. That's the internal conversation when you're facing fear. That actually takes courage. Fear, isn't the absence of the ability to move. It's just the presence of courage. It's the ability to keep moving in the midst of fear. And the only way you do that is through internal dialogue. And you have to have that internal conversation with yourself. So when you face fear, hey, it's just what it is. I know failure is possible, but along the way, when I know it comes, because it's coming, let me tell you what, the way you're going to be made up in life with internal dialogue is conflict. The way you manage conflict externally is directly reflected in how you have internal conversations with yourself. Because the greatest war you're going to face outside is never going to even come close to the conflict you have with yourself. That it's almost like a yin and a yang, right? A little devil over here, a little angel over here. It's like, no, do it. No, you got it. No, you're scared. You can't do it. It's like that. I don't know about you guys. Sometimes I feel freaking crazy.
Right.
Morning I wake up, man, I freaking got the world. I got it. And next morning, like, man, keep your ass in bed. You cannot get this done. You can't make this happen. That internal conversation is going to dictate the rest of my day. So if you're not having affirming conversations with yourself, let me tell you this, you're never going to have affirming conversations with the outside world. You're going to see the world through a different lens until you literally learn how to have the right dialogue internally with yourself. So that's how I would tackle that, Ken.
Love it. Yeah. So that's the power of the affirmation when it comes to fear. And I'd love if you haven't listed out what one of the 6 that we covered, or if you're just joining us, we're going to talk through 6 limiting belief systems, and we're going to give you an affirmation for each of those. And I'd love whatever you struggle with on those limiting belief systems, I'd love for you to identify that one. Like, what's the one? Like, this is the one that I struggle with more than any other one. So the next limited belief system, let me get off there, is scarcity. Scarcity is that mindset. And I said this earlier, scarcity, we do 2 things if we have the scarcity mindset. When we begin to be successful, when we begin to make more money, we begin to really raise the level of the revenue that we create in our business or our job or whatever it is we do. Scarcity, there are 2 indicators with people who live and struggle with a scarcity mindset. Number 1, they spend everything they have. Number 2, they save everything that they have. Like, they think like, this is all I'm going to have. And so if this is all I have, then what I'm going to do is I'm either going to buy everything that I've never had before, or I'm going to save this because somebody's going to come take my money, or they're going to take this away from me. It's not going to last. So here's something that scarcity says. And this is a mindset, this is affirmation that I wrote. I absolutely love this language. When you struggle with the scarcity mindset, scarcity limited belief system, here's your affirmation. Listen, I want something from people, I want something for people, not from people. Like, be an individual that wants to add value to people. Be an individual that's looking to add to others. People that have a scarcity mindset are the takers. They're literally the people that are takers. And we said this the other day on our call on Wednesday night on our private coaching call, is you never want to be the person. Like, when somebody's, and I've got this up here, but when somebody calls on your phone and it says Nate May, I see Matt Buchanan, Todd Voling's on here, Solana Whitehead's on here. We've got a bunch of people watching this on the Aaron Dunn's on here. You never want to be the person. When Matt Buchanan calls me, if I'm not in the bathroom like I was the last 2 or 3 times we had to call each other, when Matt Buchanan calls me, I want to answer the phone. I'm like, dude, what's Matt got going on, man? What's Matt got going on in his life? I want to hear from him. Don't be the person that when somebody calls your phone, literally you look at it and go, ugh, and you just flip the phone over, send them a voicemail, cut the ringer off, and flip the phone over. Listen, people that have scarcity mindset are people that when they walk into a room, people gravitate away from them instead of towards them because they're always takers. I want to encourage you this. When you call somebody this week, when you interact with somebody this week on a phone call, a text message, a one-on-one conversation, you're having coffee, you're having dinner, you're at church tomorrow, whatever that looks like, I want to encourage you. Be the person that wants something for people, not somebody that wants something from people. Because people that struggle with a scarcity mindset, and they're easy to identify, guys. When you begin to learn these limiting belief systems and how they operate in our life, it's easy to identify. Nate and I were in a meeting yesterday, day before yesterday. We got done, and what'd you say? That person struggles with, I think it was fear or scarcity or a limited belief system.
Yeah, you can see it in people, because what scarcity says is this once again back to the internal conversation. Here's what it looks like. If you struggle with a scarcity mindset, let's say you have more than enough in life, and more than enough is relative. When I say, I'm not talking about, hey, a jet plane, Lamborghini, I got all that, get it, I got it. Go make your money, boo boo, get what you need. But the reality is, what scarcity says is like, I don't have enough. And where that comes from is you don't believe you are enough. So you want to accumulate more and protect what you have. So you don't have a mindset of abundance. It's like if I said, hey, here's the Pacific Ocean. And you're like, man, I want the whole thing. Oh, okay, I get it. But how about you just take a cup at a time?
Right.
And you share the cup you got. You have to literally get into the mindset that you are more than enough. I am enough. So I don't have a scarcity mind. It's where collaboration comes from. One is too small of a number for greatness. Man, if you want to collaborate with people like we've done with Dr. Bobby, me and Kim wouldn't even be in this conversation with some of these amazing people without the actual spirit of more than enough in Dr. Bobby. He didn't take this opportunity and say, mine. He said, guys, I know with you, we can do greater things than I can do on my own. That's an abundance mindset. There's enough to go around the table. I can invite more people to the table, not keep them from it. And the only way, one of the disciplines you have, there's not only internal dialogue with scarcity, it's actually the action of inviting more people to the table.
Yes.
Inviting people into your journey, inviting people into new opportunities, inviting them to speak on your stage, inviting them to actually share with your following, because you are more than enough. And there's more than enough in this world to go around for all that we need to actually not only just survive, but thrive in this world.
That's awesome. So the next one is shame. And that's, I'm not going to stop moving forward because I failed in the past. Nate, talk about the difference between shame and guilt.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple, guys. And I said it just a little bit earlier. It's like, guilt says you've done something wrong. Shame says you've done something wrong. And shame is one of those that you have to do some soul work. I mean, I last year I went on a soul quest. I took a 17-day journey out west. I climbed mountains. I went through deserts. I put my feet in the Pacific Ocean. I hung out with close friends. And what I was really doing, I went back to my hometown. I stayed in the house that I grew up in, the little twin bed, that my dad still lives. I revisited my past so I would have the courage to move forward. Sometimes to actually, wind things up in your life, you have to unwind. To actually create a new path, you have to close the old one. To actually dig a new trench of life that you want to live, you have to actually cover up the one you left behind. So there's no shame in going back to your past. It takes courage to make that happen. But shame is one of those things that, man, when you inherently believe that there's something wrong with you, that you are wrong, that's a very devastating, very toxic thought pattern that takes time, energy, and effort to understand that you are more than a conqueror, that you have all that you need to actually do great things in this world. And here's the point. All these limiting belief systems, what they're set out to do is control you. They are set out to try to control you. People, your past, all these things, they want to control you. Let me tell you this. You are not designed to be controlled by people. You are not designed to be controlled by these things. If you did, you would have been born with a damn remote. You would have came out the womb with the remote in your hand if you were designed to be controlled. And second, sometimes we also these are not only things we put on ourselves. We actually reflect these and deflect these on other people in our lives. We help other people struggle with fear. We help other people struggle with scarcity because of the way we think and believe. Also, guess what? You weren't designed to control other people as well. If you were designed to control them, you would have been born with a damn remote to control other people. You're not designed to do that. You're designed to collaborate. You're designed to have interactions with the other people. You're not designed to control them. And that's what these limiting belief systems do. They set up to control you. And man, you were not designed to be controlled. I love that statement. You weren't designed to be controlled. If you were, you'd have been born with a remote in your hand.
Nate actually said that. We were walking through this morning the rest of the time. I said, I'm stealing that, dude.
No, I said it before he could steal it.
I said, dude, I'm stealing that. That's really good. So that's shame. Let's talk about the next one. Insecurity. I will be strong in my decisions, even if I make mistakes. Can I tell you real quick, guys, you know how often you're going to make mistakes? About as often as you make decisions. When you make decisions, inevitably, every now and then, you're going to make a mistake. And here's the deal. A lot of us are going to make mistakes. They're not going to be mistakes that were premeditated. They're not things that like we made bad decisions. Our heart was in the wrong place. We're going to make wrong decisions. And one of the things is, on that limited belief system of insecurity, the power of the affirmation is this: I will be strong in my decisions, even if I make mistakes. I was watching Uncle G on his 10X, his virtual boot camp last weekend. And he talked about how the speed of making decisions. And that's one of the things that I see Matt Buchanan's on here too. Matt does this really, really well. So does Solana, so does Todd Bowling, is the speed of making decisions. Like if I think I've heard Stephen Furtick say this several years ago, if I get about 70, 75% sure this is the decision I need to make, I make the decision. I'm not going to wait. And then Jared asked Grant last week, he goes, well, when you make those decisions with speed, how often are you right? He said, probably 60% of the time. So there are going to be some decisions, guys, that you make that are going to be wrong. They're just going to be. And listen, it doesn't make you bad. It just makes you human. Listen, you can seek out all the counsel in the world. You can have the great wisdom in people who speak into your life. You can study, you can read, you can listen to podcasts, you can do all of those things. But listen, the reality of it is when you struggle with a limited belief system of insecurity, you need to understand the power of this affirmation, because you are going to make mistakes, because you're human. It's just part of who we are, part of how we're designed and how we're wired. So the affirmation is, I will be strong in my decisions, even if I make mistakes. And I would say, Nate, this has probably been one of the coolest things that I've seen in our GSD community on our online coaching on Wednesday nights. Probably one of the coolest things I've seen is people making decisions and being strong in making those decisions. Literally making, I'm not sure if this is the right decision. I feel like it's the right decision. It makes a little sense to me, so I'm going to do it. This is exactly what we did in June. Nate and I were having a conversation last night. You want to talk about being strong in decisions? When I sat at Uncle G's mastermind that I paid $10,000 to sit at for 2 days, and I wrote speed in big capital letters all over one side of my journal. And I said, you know what? I'm going to make a decision. We're going to pull this off. I'm going to invest just about 6 figures to be able to do this GSD code and get these courses written, get them done, get the content video, get everything on Kajabi. I am going to make that decision. One of the reasons we're sitting at the table that we're sitting at this week in the opportunity to be able to get this business deal set up. If you struggle with insecurity, this is your affirmation. I will be, not I might be one day. I could possibly be one day. I will be strong in my decisions, even if I make mistakes. And maybe we need to change that, Nate. Maybe it doesn't even say, even if I'm going to make mistakes, but I'm going to be strong in my decision. Comparison. And this is the one we talked about a little bit earlier. Comparison. I am not comparing myself to the person next to me. I compare myself to me. Comparison absolutely robs us of the ability to be able to see the potential in our future. Absolutely robs us of the ability to be able to see our potential. So what do? We don't lean into comparison. We lean into collaboration. And I shared that earlier. Troy Milliken, what's up, buddy? I see you online. And yes, Todd Bowling will be there next week as well. Comparison. I'm not comparing myself to the person next to me. I'm not comparing to the person who's down the road further than me, or the person that's not even where I'm at. Listen, the only person I compare is me. They talk about the power of CrossFit and how it's you against you.
CrossFit. I do it, guys. I call it just glutton for punishment. I'm not a CrossFitter that runs around and, wears a CrossFit hat every day or like that. I love it because of the fact that I'm competing against myself. Some people get done working out and say, man, that was awesome. I get done. I said, no, that was awful. And they're like, what do you mean? Why do you come? I said, because I'm just competing against myself. They're like, and I asked them, does this ever get easier? And one guy looks at me and he goes, no, it never gets easier. You just do more reps and you do it faster. You work harder. So the battle you always face when it comes to setting, whether it's a personal goal, a financial goal, whether it's a physical goal, whatever it might look like, your greatest battle you're ever going to wage is you versus you. Man, you got to find a way to kick your own ass. And that's the reality is a lot of times we're looking out there for inspiration. We're looking for that person to kick us in the ass. The reality is, man, if you don't learn how to kick your own ass, you're never going to be able to beat comparison, because you're always going to line yourself up against the next person. And the line you should be standing in every morning is like, okay, when you're a kid, people put signs in your back, kick me, kick me, kick me. Man, the only person you should be looking to kick every morning, just literally, I tell you, you want to break this habit, put a freaking sign on your back or a t-shirt, a white t-shirt every morning, write literally on the front of it and the back of it, kick my own ass. And literally look in the mirror like, okay, what do I got to do first thing this morning? Kick my own ass. Don't worry about and compare yourself to other people.
And listen, here's the deal, Nate. You kick your own ass enough, you don't care if anybody else says anything to you.
No, man, it toughens that thing up.
I said this one time to actually a pastor that I work for. I said, listen, I put such high expectations on myself. You'll never put expectations on me that are higher than the ones I put on myself. It's impossible. So when you raise that expectation level because you're comparing you against you and not everybody else in the world, I want to tell you something. It will drive you to a place in your life and your business you've never been to before.
And there's a great book that my friend wrote. I actually helped him with it. It's called You Versus You, 12 Ways to Kick Your Own Ass. So that's not even mine. It's one of my buddies' name's Todd Cahill. If you want to look it up, it's on Amazon. It's called You Versus You, 12 Ways to Kick Your Own Ass. It's a great book. Great read. So just a shout out to my boy Todd if you listen to this, man. But it's a really, really good read.
Yeah, so success. So the last limiting belief system, the last affirmation we want to hit is success. And here's the affirmation. Here's the power of this. Listen to this, guys. I know and believe that it is more important to be significant than it is successful. And so we're about to drop our first book. I think I put this on Instagram yesterday. We're actually doing a pre-release for my first book that's coming out during GSD boot camp next week in Nashville. And the whole premise of the entire book is this, is that if you set out significant. Ken, what's significance? Significance means I want to take other people along the journey with me. Significance means, listen, it's not just about me. I'm just not ultra concerned with how I succeed or what money I make or what kind of title I have or what kind of platform I might be on. But the reality of significance is this. If I set out to be significant and take other people along the journey with me, if I set out to live a life of significance and help other people win and help other people win at high levels, I will always, always, always be successful. But if I set out to be successful, if I set out just to build a great company or make money or have whatever toy, house, boat, car, whatever it is, you're set, and there's nothing wrong with any of those things. But if I set out and that's the bullseye, I may or may not ever experience significance. I also may or may not leave a trail of damage behind me. But here's the deal. If I start out with the goal of being significant, or somewhere along that journey, the light bulb moment comes on, that aha moment of, wow, significance is the thing that really, really matters. When I have that aha moment and I go, you know what? I want to be significant. I want to help other people be the best that they can be. Man, they can be people on my team. They can be people that work in my company. They can be my sphere of influence. It's the one thing I love about our Growth Stack Drive community. Dude, it is unbelievable to watch as people, David Ridenour, Jay Diedrich, Solana, even Nate. I got Nate in the video game this week, posting his affirmations this week. Our team, when you watch people posting these affirmation videos online and then the comments behind them, Melissa Stewart posted one yesterday, and people were commenting on there. Yes, you've got this. Yes, this is powerful. You're watching community, literally a community understand the power of significance and how I can help other people around me rise to the top. Again, Zig Ziglar's famous quote, my favorite quote, if I help enough people be successful, eventually I will get, or if I help enough people get what they want, eventually I'll get what I want. And that's really what it's all about when it comes to being significant versus being successful. So we want to thank you guys for being a part of our webinar today as we talked about the power of affirmations. I'm going to try to stop sharing this screen right here if I can figure it out. Boom. There we go. Nate, you want to tell them about our new 197 for our GSD code and share that just a little bit? Then we're going to get to watching football today, guys.
Yeah, well, the GSD code, guys, there's three different codes. We have one Grow, that's really gears around the limiting belief systems. We have Stack, which has to do with, your personal strategy, professional strategies, and how you actually put those things in place. First, we got to get your head right, get that connected to your heart so you know who you are, not just what you're trying to accomplish. Then we get into the strategy. Don't get that mixed up. We first help you with who you're becoming, then we help you go out and attain what you want to accomplish. So that's really the Stack side of it, really great strategies. And last but not least, which is the great multiplier in life, is really what we call, the drive part, which is actually building out your leadership capacity, getting to your max potential and how you can grow as a leader. These are different courses. We're designing them. There's a mentoring group that meets every Wednesday night that you have access to as well. We've made it really palatable based on the current times. It's $197 a month. You get access to them. It's a year-long investment at $197 each month, but you get access to the whole course and the whole year-long training program. I'm saying that right, Ken? Am I correct? And so that's something, if you're not a part of that right now, guys, it's something to invest in. It's palatable, and if something, here's what we always say, if you don't like what we got or you don't want to be a part of what we're doing, let us know. We're not those guys. This isn't Kmart or Walmart. Well, Kmart shut down, but we're not. But my point is that you can't bring something back and tell us you don't like it and we're going to make you put it in your mouth and keep it. It ain't going to happen. You have to make sure this is something you want. Set on a journey with other people. Man, we can't promise you it's going to be easy, but we promise you it's going to be worth it. We cannot promise you it's going to be, monumental in your life right out the gate, but it will be incremental. And we can't tell you that, man, it's going to be perfect. We can tell you this, you won't be alone. And because we've created the community of people that really give a shit about what you're doing with your life. We care about who you're becoming, not what you can just accomplish.
Right.
And I think when you set out to have conversations with people and you set to put yourself around other people, and I say this all the time, it's a lifelong thing for me. It's everybody, if you're just watching the first time, you can ask Ken and Dr. Bobby, I was with the CEO, I was talking about who? I said, Vito, if I didn't like you as a person, I said this statement. Ken, what was my affirmation? There ain't no table big enough for me to sit at. I deserve my seat at any table in any room. I don't care if you're the Prince of Dubai, you're freaking Joe Biden, Donald Trump, whoever the heck you are, Prince of this country. I could sit at the table and I will bring something to the table. Your title, nothing, that doesn't matter to me. What you've attained, what you got, show me all you got. But more importantly, show me who you are. And if you have the ability to get around people who give a crap about who they're becoming, that's the table you need to sit at, because they will be your greatest asset. Here's why. If they care about who they are becoming, that means they're having an internal conversation to better themselves. What do you think the output of that individual is going to be? Is it going to be venom? Is it going to be limited beliefs that they're going to put upon you? No, they're going to breathe hope and life into you. And that's why we created the GSD code, not just to be a course that's online, but we created a community of people that gather every Wednesday night. We have events throughout the year, all kinds of opportunities for us to stay connected in a community. So, man, in this journey of becoming who you are and attaining what you want and what you desire in this life, just know you need a community of people to do it with. And that's what we decided to Growth Stack. That's why we designed Growth Stack Drive the way we did. $197 a month. You can actually, there's a link that was just dropped in the comments. Check it out. And man, hey, if you got some time next week and it ain't happening, man, be sure to DM Ken, DM me, whatever it might be. If you're interested in boot camp next week, we'd still love to have you. We can make it happen. It's going to be an amazing weekend. But man, you know what? If anything, just be a part of this on a weekly basis with us. Dive into this content. Dive into this, journey that we're on together. And we're just excited that you turned out today. Go Irish. I'm a Notre Dame fan. I'm hoping Trevor Lawrence is going to be healthy next week, so when we play him, but we got Georgia Tech today. It's like a shoe run. That man, I don't even have to watch that game. It's done anyway.
Oh, Michigan's tied 7-7 right now. Ain't gonna last long. It's gonna be good. Listen, guys, thank you so much for jumping on our Growth Stack Drive webinar today as we talked about the power of affirmations. Listen, if you've got any questions, we'd love to have you at boot camp next week. We're gonna wind up about 30-35 people at boot camp. It's gonna be a phenomenal time. Myself, Nate will be there. My good friends Anthony Truss, Coach Michael Burke, Carlos Reyes. I mean, literally, you have got the cream of the crop guys who are absolutely crushing it in the world today, whether it be in business coaching, whether it be in speaking like Anthony, or whether it be Carlos, who's one of the top entrepreneurs, one of the top home wholesalers in the country. Just spoke at the Thrive Conference last week with Dan Fleischman and that whole crew of guys that have sold their companies for $250 to $500 million. It's going to be a phenomenal time. Small group setting. We've got some really cool things set aside for you guys Friday night. We're getting dinner catered into the lodge. You're going to be able to do breakout sessions now with Carlos, with myself, with Coach, with Nate, with my sales guys. You're going to be able to do breakouts then. We're going to do breakouts Saturday afternoon for lunch as well, with myself, with Coach, with Carlos, with Nate. You'll be able to get some one-on-one time with our team, with all of our communicators, with our speakers, to be able to ask them pertinent questions that really pertinent questions for you and your business and your situation. It's going to be a phenomenal time. If you have not signed up for boot camp, DM me here at Ken Jocelyn. Let me know, Stacy know, let Nate know. We'd love to be able to make a way for you to be able to be there next week. Guys, it is 12:57. We're 3 minutes early.
Hey, Ken, there's the last tip of the day. It's Halloween, right? So, I mean, I know a lot of you might be struggling with the costume you're going to dress up as. If you're like me, I don't ever really do costumes. My kids do. It's a lot of fun. But hey, I want you to be encouraged. If you don't have a costume idea, if you're going out tonight, if you're just going to stroll out in the neighborhood, whatever you do on Halloween, all right, whatever you do, I want you to know I got your costume. I want you to dress up as a badass. That's your costume. Now, be creative with it. If you want, don't go there, but here's what if you don't dress up, all you got to do is walk in. What are you dressed as? I'm just a badass. That's all you got to say. What do you mean? I'm just a badass. That's how I dress. That's how badasses dress. That's how we roll. Man, no, I appreciate you guys. Have a happy Halloween. I say that all the time. You know, that's one of my things. BBA, be genuine, be kind, help other people out. Those are the greatest things that you can do in this life that matter and that will travel with you for an eternity. So be good, live life well, be badasses. I dressed up today as a badass, so you're welcome.
Love you guys. Go.
See y'all.